One day, I opened my college savings account and found it completely empty. $10,000 were gone. Every cent I'd been saving since I was 15, cleaning houses on weekends and babysitting after school. It was all wiped clean. And the worst part? It wasn't some random hacker or a bank error. It was my mother's husband, Rick. I'll never call him my stepfather. That word implies trust, bond, care. Rick was none of those things. He married my mother when I was 13, and from day one, something about him always felt off. He was the kind of man who always needed to be in control of the room. Loud when he didn't need to be. Too friendly with strangers. And always talking about how hard life was for men like him, whatever that meant. He never laid a hand on me, not directly, but there was a constant tension in the air when he was around. He'd comment on what I wore, laugh too hard when I got a bad grade, and make these weird remarks like, "Better hope you marry rich, kid." My mom? She always laughed along. Said Rick was just old school. Said I was too sensitive. I was 17 when I started hiding money. Birthday cards, part-time paychecks, even lunch money. I tucked it all away into a savings account I opened on my own, without telling them. It took years, but by the time I graduated high school, I had 10 grand saved up. It was my golden ticket. My escape plan. That money was going to cover tuition, books, a crappy apartment with bad plumbing, anything to get out of that house. But 1 week before move-in day at college, I logged into the account to transfer funds and saw it. Balance, $0. I stared at the screen like it was some kind of trick, refreshed the page. Logged out, logged back in. Nothing changed. It was just gone. I tore through my paperwork, every document I had. I'd listed my mom as my emergency contact when I opened the account. That was my mistake. I found a withdrawal slip, signed by her husband. I don't even remember walking downstairs. All I know is 1 minute I was in my room, and the next I was in the kitchen, holding the slip in my shaking hands. "Where's my money?" I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. My mother didn't look up from her magazine. "What money?" "The college fund. $10,000. It's gone." Rick took it. Rick, sitting across from her with a beer in hand, didn't even flinch. "We needed it," he said. Just like that. No apology. No shame. The car broke down. Medical bills. Life happens. My heart was hammering in my chest. That money was mine. I worked for it. Mom finally looked up. "And now it's gone. So stop being dramatic. It's just money." I couldn't even finish the sentence. That was my future. She slammed the magazine shut and stood. "I'm sick of this attitude. You think you're better than us? You're not. Maybe if you weren't always off in your own little world, you'd understand how hard things are around here." That was the moment something in me snapped. "You let him steal from me." "He didn't steal," she snapped. "We used it. For the family. You live here, don't you?" I wanted to scream, cry, beg her to see what was happening. But I saw it in her face, she didn't care. Not about the money. Not about me. "You're going to shut up about this," she said coldly. "Or you'll find yourself without a roof over your head." So I shut up. For exactly 3 days. And then I went to the police. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about principle. About finally doing something for myself. I gathered every bank statement, every withdrawal slip, and filed a report. The officer I spoke to seemed surprised. Most kids in my position don't press charges against their parents. But I wasn't most kids anymore. I was done playing daughter in a house that never saw me as family. Things moved quickly after that. The bank confirmed Rick had withdrawn the funds using forged documentation. That was enough for a detective to open a case. But what I didn't expect, what I couldn't have prepared for, was what came next. During the investigation, the detective found something in probate records. A name. A sum. A will. My biological father, who died when I was 10, had left me an inheritance. A big one. Over 6 figures, set aside in a trust. Money meant for my education, my future, my life. But I'd never seen a dime of it. And according to the file, someone had accessed it. Someone who wasn't me. That's when the real story began. I stared at the detective across the metal desk, trying to wrap my head around what he was saying. "Your father set up a trust fund for you before he passed," Detective Mason said, flipping through the stack of papers he'd printed out. "It was meant to be distributed when you turned 18, for college or living expenses. Standard setup. But it was accessed 6 years ago. I was 16 6 years ago. Still a minor. Still sitting at that kitchen table every night pretending everything was fine, while Rick and my mother whispered about bills and emergencies in the next room. Who accessed it? I asked, my voice sounding far away to my own ears. He tapped the paper with his pen. Your mother. She petitioned the court to be granted control over the trust due to your minor status. Said it was in your best interest. She claimed the funds would be safeguarded until you came of age. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I might throw up. And she spent it? He nodded grimly. Every penny. It wasn't just the $10,000 savings I'd lost, it was the inheritance my father had left me, too. My real dad. The only person who had ever tried to give me a shot at a better life, even after he was gone. How much was it? I whispered. He turned the page and circled a number in blue ink. $187,000. I felt my breath hitch, my throat closing like I was drowning on dry land. Rick and my mother didn't just steal my savings. They drained nearly $200,000, and they did it quietly, over years, right under my nose. Private school tuition for my half-sister that I never asked for. A new SUV. A kitchen remodel. Family vacations I wasn't even invited to. Suddenly all the pieces clicked into place, the way Rick would smirk whenever I mentioned college, the way my mother would sigh and say, "We do what we can," when I asked why we couldn't afford even second-hand textbooks. They never planned for me to leave. They were banking on me staying, trapped, too broke to escape. I stood up so fast the chair screeched back. What happens now? Detective Mason leaned back. He looked tired, like he wanted to say something but didn't know if he should. You have options. Civil court to sue them. Criminal court for charges like embezzlement and fraud. But it's complicated. They'll fight back. Blood ties make these cases messy. I nodded, a strange, icy calm settling over me. Let them fight. They were the ones who picked this war. I filed both civil and criminal suits the next day. The news hit my family like a bomb. Rick was served first. He stormed into the house that night, slamming doors and yelling about family loyalty and how dare you. My mother followed close behind, her face twisted into something unrecognizable, a mask of rage I had never seen before. You ungrateful little bitch, she hissed as she pointed her finger inches from my face. We gave you everything. A roof, food, a family. You gave me nothing that wasn't mine already, I said, voice steady. The words hit her like a slap. She actually staggered back a step, as if she couldn't comprehend that I wasn't scared of her anymore. You want to destroy your own mother? She shrieked. After everything? I didn't flinch. You destroyed yourself. You just thought I was too stupid to notice. Rick stepped in, face red and furious. You think some judge is going to side with you? You're nothing without us. And that's when I smiled. Small, cold, unforgiving. I was nothing because of you. I moved out that night. 2 trash bags of clothes and a laptop. That's all I took. I left the house, the memories, and every last bit of their poison behind. What I didn't leave behind was the fight. Because it was just beginning. I moved into a studio apartment on the edge of town. It was small, just a mattress on the floor, a thrifted desk, and a window with a view of a bus stop, but it was mine. The silence felt strange at first. No screaming from downstairs. No heavy footsteps pacing the hallway. No Rick. It was freedom. Lonely, terrifying, exhilarating freedom. The civil case was slow-moving, like dragging an anchor through wet cement. I gave statement after statement, copies of bank withdrawals. A notarized copy of my father's will. Emails, receipts, even screenshots of text messages where my mother called the money a blessing that helped all of us. Their defense was laughable. We did what we had to do, their lawyer argued. It was a difficult time. My client believed she was using the funds for the benefit of the family unit. Except there was one major problem with that claim. I wasn't part of their unit. And then something strange happened. Strangers started contacting me. Distant relatives from my dad's side. His old college roommate. A former coworker who remembered hearing about the trust fund years ago. People who had assumed I was taken care of. One of them, a woman named Carla, sent me a letter I'll never forget. Your father used to say, if anything happens to me, at least she'll be okay. I made sure of it. I am so sorry they took that from you. That line broke me in half. I cried for 2 straight hours in my car, parked behind a Walgreens. I cried for my dad. For the money. For every year I spent thinking no one had ever fought for me, when in truth, he had fought the hardest, only for them to bury his love in paperwork and lies. But Carla also gave me something else, a copy of my father's handwritten letter to the trust attorney. dated 2 weeks before he died. I want to make it absolutely clear, this money is for my daughter, and my daughter only. No one else is to access it, regardless of guardianship or marital status. She is to receive it in full when she turns 18. That letter became Exhibit A in the civil suit. And when the judge read it aloud in court, I watched Rick's expression crack for the first time. My mother just stared ahead, stone-faced. She didn't flinch. Didn't cry. Didn't apologize. And that told me everything. Meanwhile, the criminal case took a darker turn. Detective Mason called me one afternoon, his voice grave. "We pulled the full financials," he said. "It's not just the trust. There's credit card fraud, loan applications, even a second mortgage on the house, taken out in your name." My jaw dropped. "What? They forged your signature on at least 4 documents. That crosses from theft into full-blown identity fraud." My stomach dropped. I hadn't even known about the second mortgage. I didn't even live there anymore, but apparently, my name was still good enough for them to use like a tool. The district attorney filed charges against both of them: embezzlement, fraud, identity theft, forgery. Suddenly, it wasn't just a family dispute anymore. It was criminal. Real time. Real consequences. And that's when they turned on each other. Rick's attorney petitioned the court to separate the charges. Claimed my mother acted independently and misled him about the funds. He threw her under the bus so fast, the ink hadn't dried before the headlines hit: "Stepfather blames mother in 6-figure fraud against daughter." I was almost impressed. Almost. But I wasn't prepared for what happened next. My mom called me. From jail. I didn't answer. But she left a voicemail. "You really think he cared about you? He used me. He told me to take it. I did it for all of us. You were supposed to understand that." There it was again. That same twisted logic. Like I was the problem for not being okay with being robbed. I saved the voicemail. Played it for my lawyer. Played it for the court. It helped. In the final hearing, the judge awarded me restitution, $196,500, plus interest. They were ordered to sell the house. Rick's precious SUV? Repossessed. My mother's jewelry? Liquidated. But the money didn't feel like a win. Not really. The real victory was what came after. 1 month later, I got a letter from the probate attorney handling my father's estate. He apologized for the delays and the confusion. Said something unexpected had come up during the case review. An additional account. An old one, created the same year as the trust. It had my name on it. No one, not even my mother, had known about it. Balance, $94,300. My dad had left a backup. Just in case. And I finally understood why people say the dead can still protect us. The letter shook in my hands as I read it over and over again, like maybe the words would change if I blinked too hard. But they didn't. There it was, another account. Another layer of protection my father had built for me, hidden deep enough that even my mother and Rick, greedy as they were, hadn't sniffed it out. It wasn't just money. It was proof. Proof that someone had loved me enough to think ahead, to expect betrayal even after he was gone. Proof that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as alone in the world as I thought. The attorney explained that the account had been dormant but accruing interest for years. After the civil case closed and the financial review was ordered, it triggered a deeper audit, and that's when the forgotten funds surfaced. Nearly $95,000. I was stunned, grateful, furious all over again. I cashed the check 2 days later and opened a new account. In my name. No cosigners. No emergency contacts. No second chances. That same week, Rick pled guilty to 2 counts of fraud. He took a plea deal, 18 months in prison, 5 years probation. My mother fought harder. She dragged her case out, begged for leniency, sobbed in court about losing her daughter and hardships and misunderstandings. The judge wasn't impressed. She was sentenced to 12 months. No parole. I didn't attend their sentencings. I didn't need to see it. I already knew what I needed. They had finally faced consequences, and I was finally free. I signed a lease on a real apartment. One with a balcony and creaky floors and a fridge that rattled when the compressor kicked in. I bought a car. A reliable one, nothing fancy. I enrolled in classes again, community college this time, but with cash, no loans, no more begging anyone for help. At night, I sat out on the tiny balcony, my knees pulled up to my chest, looking at the stars and thinking about my father. I wondered if he knew, somehow, that it would come to this. That his daughter would have to fight tooth and nail for what was hers. I think he did. The first semester back at school, one of my professors asked us to write a short essay. What does freedom mean to you? I stared at the blank page for a long time. Then I wrote, freedom is walking away from people who called themselves family but treated you like nothing. Freedom is closing a door and knowing no one on the other side has a key to you anymore. Freedom is realizing you are not broken because they tried to break you. You're stronger because you survived them. By the time the year ended, I was back on my feet. They tried to steal my future. Instead, they gave me the best gift they could have without meaning to, a clean break. A reason to never look back. Some people lose their family slowly, through misunderstandings, distance, time. I lost mine all at once, in a hurricane of lies and greed. And honestly? Good riddance. I built something better with my own hands. My own mind. My own heart. And not one single piece of it belongs to them. Not anymore.